Okay, so hello, my name is Kimeka, and today I'll be speaking about the political control of the West Indies. I find it that usually a lot of people don't know a lot about the Caribbean, and it's not really a place that is spoken about that much, especially in Finland where we live right now. So basically, I'll just be opening a little bit about the history of imperialism where I come from, so which is Jamaica. Okay, so I'll just open simple and basic. What is the meaning of imperialism? So as we all know, imperialism is a policy of extending a country's power and influence, and through colonization, and normally with the use of military forces or any other means possible to gain full control of another nation. And that the agenda with imperialism is to extend another nation's wealth, value, and power by crushing another's and taking over the nation's political and economical life. So when we get deeper into what the meaning of imperialism is, it's basically just a cruel way to create an empire to increase and impose dominance. Basically, there's been a lot of imperialistic effects on the Caribbean, in the Caribbean, and which I myself can also say I feel running through my veins as well as a Jamaican woman living today. So let's get more into the historical background of what imperialism has, how imperialism has had its effects on Jamaica. Here I put a photo of England with the octopus arms grasping on all the nations, and Jamaica is one of them as well. And you can see Egypt, India, Canada, and so on. So in 1655, the British took over Jamaica from the Spaniards to basically continue the colonization that the Spanish had already started. And by using imperialistic tactics, had completely colonized and taken over the whole of Jamaica just within 5 years. They used slavery as a tool in Britain's war for trade and to gain economic prosperity in Jamaica. Their tactics were very oppressive, and you could almost say it explores nationalism and privilege that encouraged the division of gender, class, race, and as I mentioned before, sexuality as well, to establish and legitimize the British authority over Jamaica. Land and riches were taken away by producing mass productions of sugarcane on the land, and a lot of economical profit was also gained by these sugarcane plantations. Then we can get more into, well, basically, so in conclusion, for everyone to understand what this violence meant for Jamaica and its future, the British colonialism was a powerful psychological way and tool that was created by the British to, well, economically and politically break down the people of Jamaica to take the full control that they wanted. And political elites, the British political elites, were very aware that by sustaining their power into Jamaica and taking control, that they were creating a fragmented nation, a fragmented bodies and minds in Jamaica, and they knew what this also meant for the future of Jamaica. I just have this so I don't forget what I'm talking about. So basically, now we talk more about the effects what it had on the little island that it is. So throughout the British imperialism, there was many effects on the little island, and there was introduction to European diseases. There was violence. There was violent confrontations, impact on the general population's mentality, enslavement, crown sanctioned and forced labor, and worst of all, the destruction of the traditional cultural patterns of the country and the indigenous cultural patterns that they brought when they were brought from Africa. The presence of the British led to rapid demographic and cultural decline, which means that they had a huge effect on the culture. So the culture was visibly declining. You could see the difference and the impact that the African culture was slowly slipping away, you could say, by force. And that the people of the island of Jamaica can, well, this is my view of it, that basically after all the imperialism, colonization, and the impact and the effect on the culture and the people and the land, well, those are things you can never really fully get back. So till this day, we still don't have everything around. During the 18th century, like 1800s, there was a lot of rebellions by the people of Jamaica. So this is a photo from one of those rebellions, it's the Moran Bay Rebellion in 1865, led by Paul Vogel. So this is the people fighting back. And then after that, we gained independence later on after various and many different rebellions. We gained independence on August 6, 1962, after a long battle. And even though the people of the island fought off what they could, there's still effects that can be seen till this day. For example, our language. So the official language of Jamaica is English, second language Spanish. And well, the local people, we do speak a language amongst each other. We call it Patois. So it has some indigenous African words from the indigenous African languages that we spoke when we came. But we were forced to speak the languages of our masters. Of course, because of rebellion, we refused. So we made a language of our own where it's mixed with English, Spanish, and the indigenous African languages. So for example, we still have words that are still from Africa. Of course, we don't know everything, but I've done some research, found out that I have a Gambian friend, and in their language, in Wolof, they say nyam, which means to eat, and we say the same words. So you connect the dots, you see, oh, okay, that's from way back, and then you know. But mostly it's more like a pidgin English that we speak today. And then with the culture, well, with our culture, well, of course, we know that we're African descendants, but we don't have every aspect of our culture still today. But we do have in our music, in the food that we make, but of course, still we know that we are westernized because we have been ruled over. So, and then with the religion, obviously when we came, we had indigenous African religions. We had something that we call obia. We had stuff like that, but nowadays, mostly the whole of Jamaica is of Christian religion. So we know that also that is from the effects of imperialism and colonization.